Every legend is based on fact. Every myth is grounded in truth.
Hey guys, Jonathan from Burley-Mar Productions, and Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, also known as Halloween 6, at one point known as Halloween 666, and it's fitting that they call this The Curse of Michael Myers because this movie and its production was cursed in so many ways. Between the death of Donald Pleasence before the movie was released, and the reason why that was part of a curse was because after he had passed away, they ran a test screening, and a lot of people were unhappy with it, and they wanted to change aspects, and they couldn't do it. That's why there's two different versions of this movie, and I'm going to get into that. Just so much wrong with this movie, but at the same time there's a lot that's right with it. They did a lot of good things with this movie. There was a lot that was positive, but between the reshoots, the long shooting schedule, the changing of the script, the rewrites, it turned into this mess. I mean, incoherent mess of a movie. Now, there are two versions of this movie. There's a theatrical version, and then there's the producer's cut. I watched the producer's cut, mainly because this is actually the first chance I've ever had to see it in a good quality. I've seen the producer's cut many times, but it was the only way that you could ever see it before was on bootleg until, Scream Factory did this right and released the box set, and this has the producer's cut in its actual Blu-ray quality. They went back to all the original negatives, and was able to clean it up. And the producer's cut is the only way to watch this movie. If you watch the theatrical cut, that's why it's hated by so many people. Producer's cut is better, but it's still a mess of a movie. This is the worst Halloween movie. This is the worst movie out of the entire run, and it's such a shame because it could have been good. Like I said, they had a lot of good things going for it, and I want to get into some of those. But first, I want to talk about the one really, really messed up thing that's in this movie. The reason why I hate it so much, even though I like a lot of it, the main reason why I hate it, they waited 6 years to make this movie. They couldn't get Danielle Harris back, even though she tried, and that was something that caused a bit of issue. Danielle Harris wanted to come back to play Jamie Lloyd in this, and when she saw and was able to take a look at the script and realized that Jamie Lloyd was supposed to be 18 in this one, she was 17 at the time. She actually got herself emancipated from her parents to be able to run a longer shooting schedule and to be an adult, to technically be an adult for this film. She still didn't get the part. Because she was unhappy with the story line for her. Which I was too, and I'm going to get into that in a sec. And B, they wouldn't give her, she wanted an extra $5,000 plus her salary to cover her legal fees that she did. They would not give it to her. Miramax would not give that to her. And I think that that's one of the biggest problems with this movie, is that they wanted to continue the Jamie Lloyd storyline, but they couldn't get Danielle Harris back. They wouldn't get her back. And yeah, there were some major problems with her character in the story, but I think if they would have gotten her back, they could have fixed those. And therein lies the rub. Jamie Lloyd is in this for all of maybe 5 minutes in the beginning. Even though she's alive through a decent amount of it, they do end up killing her at the end, but it was supposed to be her. It was supposed to be the conclusion of her story arc, and it wasn't. This movie became a mess of so many different ideas all thrown into one. They wanted to continue with the Man in Black and the Thorn storyline, which they did. That's the main crux of this movie. And it's okay. I kind of like it. I don't like the supernatural elements, but at least it's a somewhat coherent idea. But then they have Jamie Lloyd's storyline. They have the Strode family moving into Michael Myers' house. They have this whole storyline about Haddonfield wanting to bring Halloween back. Because Haddonfield hasn't celebrated Halloween in 6 years. They want to bring that back. And it's being spearheaded by the girlfriend of one of the Strode family. They've got Dr. Loomis's retirement. They've got Dr. Wynn in here. They have all of these different storylines. And the biggest one that they bring in is Tommy Doyle. They bring in a Tommy Doyle storyline, and it's awesome. They've got Paul Rudd playing him. This is actually his first role. Literally his first major role. This was filmed before Clueless, even though Clueless was released before this movie. We've got too many different storylines, and they're trying to tell all of them at once. That's the main problem with this movie. They should have stuck to one or two. They should have stuck to they should have stuck to a Jamie Lloyd storyline with the Thorn cult. Great. They could have cut out Jamie Lloyd. They wanted to keep the Thorn cult, then fine. They could have focused on Tommy Doyle. They could have focused on the Strode family coming back, even though they kind of messed it up, and it's not even the actual original Strode family, the one that literally adopted Jamie. It's not even them. It's Strode's adopted father's brother. So whatever. It's this weird tenuous connection. And I think that's the thing. They're straying too far from the connections of the original. They're straying too far away from the Strode family. You know, first they had the Strode family. They got rid of Laurie Strode, so they went with her daughter, Michael's niece. That's great. Again, it's a connection to the Strode family. It's Myers trying to kill his family. They give an explanation in this one as to why Myers is trying to kill his family with this whole Thorn cult and the power of Thorn and whatever. And that part, whatever. But again, it's like they're straying too far away from the original connection. They wanted to use this film to bridge a gap between 4 and 5, the Jamie Lloyd story, and the original Laurie Strode story. But they're stretching. They stretch the connection too much. I really hate the Thorn storyline in this, and I want to explain why. I don't think it's a bad idea. I think it's an interesting idea. I think it's an idea that actually gives some sort of a legitimate backstory as to why Michael Myers is trying to kill his entire family, because it's needed. It has this they give this whole connection to Celtic prophecy and the runes and stuff, even though the Thorn rune is Germanic, is not Celtic. That's a small gripe that I have, but whatever, we can get past that. It gives this whole connection as to the power of Thorn and one child getting it and having to sacrifice his entire family to save everybody else from this evil that can awaken, and the passing on of the evil from one person to another, which explains which they could have easily used to explain some of the stuff that happened in part 4 with Jamie Lloyd attacking her stepmother at the end. They kind of brought that back in this one with Jamie Lloyd's baby, because Jamie Lloyd has a baby in this one, and Michael Myers is the father. Let that sink in. Michael Myers rapes his own niece for a satanic cult to be able to pass down evil from him to her, to keep it in a family, even though he's supposed to be trying to kill his own family. That's the only way the curse can be passed on. It's like a figure eight of nonsense. Again, why I have a problem with the Thorn Cult? Because they had a good idea with a lot of good backstory. They could have that explained a lot of things that happen, but they waste it because they make it incoherent. And again, part of that is due to the production of this movie. Production of this movie was just a mess between all the rewrites, Donald Pleasance passing away, having to do reshoots, all this stuff. It just made everything an incoherent mess. Now, here's what I wish this movie would have been. I wish that this movie would have been Jamie Lloyd is still alive, get Danielle Harris back. They could have kept some of the Thorn Cult mythology in here, but not all of it. Only about 25% of what they have. Basically use it for the exposition and the backstory. No power of Thorn. In other words, the thing that makes Michael Myers immortal, because they go full supernatural in this. Most importantly, keep Tommy Doyle. Tommy Doyle was the best part of this. Did Paul Rudd play him super well? No. Paul Rudd is an amazing actor, but this was his first role. He played him kind of creepy and stalkerish, which I felt in some ways worked, but at the same time it made it a very, very wooden performance. But I enjoyed the idea of bringing back a character from the original that most of us had forgotten about by this point. It had been 16 years since the original. People have forgotten that Tommy Doyle was even a thing. Now, it would have been nice if they could have got the original actor, but I understand why they went with Paul Rudd. He was this fresh and upcoming face, and they gave him some good exposure, But I enjoyed what his character was, even if I didn't necessarily enjoy the way Paul Rudd played it. He played it as this survivor who had become obsessed with Michael Myers and started researching and knew everything about him. Knew about the Thorn Cult, had studied astronomy, had studied all the kills, stayed in Haddonfield, lived literally across the street from the Myers house to be able to keep an eye on everything. I loved that. He had become like this little obsessive, he had become kind of a mini Dr. Loomis. And they could have kept Dr. Loomis out of this one, I feel. I feel that they were really pushing it with Donald Pleasance. Because Donald Pleasance was literally sick and dying during the making of this movie. Like I said, he passed away February 2nd, 1995. He passed away before this movie was even released. They shot it in 94. It was released in 95. It takes place in 95. They were pushing it. And I feel that his character could have stayed out of this. He could have died in part 5. Because that's what everybody thought. Everybody thought he was. Everybody thought everybody was dead. Michael Myers escaped. Loomis and Jamie Lloyd are dead. You didn't need to bring back both Jamie Lloyd and Dr. Loomis. You should have brought back Jamie Lloyd. She doesn't have a child. Michael Myers is part of a Thorn Cult. Discovers she's still alive. Goes after her. Jamie Lloyd meets up with Tommy Doyle. They figure shit out. And they go apeshit. And they kill Michael. That's what this movie should have been. It should have been the end. There was no need for the curse, even though that would have been neat, because they had already set some of that up. But end it. That's what this movie should have been. It wasn't. He escapes at the end. They do this whole bait and switch. They do this stupid thing with Tommy, with runes of light that don't even work. It's just an incoherent mess. And that's why after this they brought back Jamie Lee Curtis, because they had to. It was the only way to save the franchise. And did that do a great job? Yeah, it was okay. H2O was pretty good. I actually really liked it. Halloween Resurrection? No. So that's that. That is the original 6 Halloween movies. Like I said, I'm not going to review H2O, but I will have a review for the new one. And I know that these are running late because it's like the 26th, I think. I was really trying to get these done way before Halloween, but work and stuff got in the way. But these will be up soon, hopefully by the end of the month. And thanks for watching, I guess. And like I said, up next is a review for the new one. And I'll be done with this. So, that was terrible. Let me figure out a different way to end this. So anyway, that's my review of Halloween 6. What I wish this movie could have been. This was a movie that had a lot of potential, but it didn't live up to any of that potential because of just so much mess. It is not a bad movie though. It really isn't. It's the worst out of the Halloween movies, but I'm going to give this movie one thing that I did not mention during my review, and I apologize for that. I should have. Should have been one of the first things I mentioned. This movie, the producer's cut, is shot really beautifully. There's some very, very artistic stuff that happens in this movie. There's some nice black and white flashbacks. There's some nice use of slow motion and exposition, and there's some really cool things. It kind of reminded me of The Exorcist II: The Heretic, a movie that's an incoherent mess and has almost nothing to do with any of the original stuff, but it's beautifully shot. I kind of see where Rob Zombie got his inspiration for Halloween 2, which is very artistic and fever dream type. There's a lot of that in here. So, is this a bad movie? No. Is it the worst out of the Halloween movies? Yes. Yes, in a lot of ways. I would consider this even worse than Halloween Resurrection. But it's still enjoyable to watch. Get the producer's cut. Get the producer's cut. It really will help change your mind about this movie. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay tuned for Halloween 2018. That's the next review, and then we're going to be done.